Rich Schefren is known as a guru's guru. He's helped clients generate over 15 billion in business growth. But recently he admitted he spent 29 years battling the same self-sabotage, procrastination and mental blocks that stop most entrepreneurs. The struggle is what pushed him to build ZenithMind OS, his new AI-powered system. At over $1,000, it's not a small investment, so I wanted to see if it actually delivers. ZenithMind OS runs on ChatGPT, but the core value comes from rich proprietary prompts and frameworks, not just a new AI engine. For 29 years, Rich kept extensive journals, documented not just his business ideas, but his own struggles with execution. It's the same struggle that I've been going through with Find Focus, with building this channel, with building my different businesses, analyzing why I repeated these patterns and came up with an AI solution which I call Clarity on Demand. It's all about recognizing why we sabotage ourselves. The frustration that Rich felt wasn't unique. It's something a lot of entrepreneurs, marketers, and creators experience. You know exactly what to do, but you can't seem to do it. You get stuck in a loop, gathering information, making plans, then stalling out before you actually see results. Rich journals and mine are full of these moments where he would write out detailed goals and then come back weeks later to admit that he hasn't moved forward. The problem isn't about intelligence or skill. If someone with Rich Schefren's track record can get stuck here, it can happen to anyone. His battle with his own internal blocks wasn't just a personal issue. It became the driving force behind creating ZenithMind. He didn't build the system because he spotted a market opportunity. He built it because he needed a solution for himself after years of failed attempts to fix the problem with more courses, planners, or productivity hacks. All of these were just more software. What was really needed was something that could actually repair the operating system itself. So if the real challenge isn't about knowing what to do, but really about understanding why you do not do it, the question becomes, how can you actually change your internal wiring? That's where Rich's approach takes a different turn and what makes ZenithMind really great. Let's have a look how ZenithMind actually works and what you can get out of this review. So recently I got access to ZenithMind OS, and this is essentially what the program looks like. You might have seen Rich talk about this in his webinar, or you watched some of the testimonials already on the sales page here, but it's really about what the program is and what you will get out of this. So essentially it's a live implementation framework where you use ChatGPT. So let me open up my ChatGPT account and show you what this looks like here on my screen. So basically, once you go through the program, you go through different days, and there's detailed description for how this goes for you and like how you should implement this. So when you get access to this here, if you want to get ZenithMind OS, you sign up here and then you pay the commission. The important thing is that it gets more expensive with each live cohort. So ZenithMind really works in a 4-week interval. Sometimes it's a little bit more or something like this, but typically they're starting one cohort every month. And in this, you get detailed SOPs about how this works. The great thing is that even though ZenithMind OS is now a little bit more expensive than when it was first launched, there were a couple of iterations. That means the whole process is much more refined. So you get the essential resources about how to set up your ChatGPT account. You get a step-by-step instruction guide about how you use GPT and then go through the process. For example, like this is the first prompt, you just copy and paste it into ChatGPT, and then you are asked to go through these kind of questions. So ChatGPT gets to know you, and then it asks some kind of follow-up question. So the goal here is to go really deep, not just answer the surface level, but going really deep. And this is essentially what ZenithMind to build your profile and to get to understand you really well. And from there on, you just continue going through the course. So let me show you how this looks like. essentially you go to the lessons, and then here when you see there's a lot of different lessons, typically you get access to them once the live sessions are done. So here, for example, is the example from the June cohort. You get access to the live training if you cannot make it to the live Zoom call. And then there's also mastermind call each week where there's also a replay available where you can ask like different questions. So you see here some of the past participants are part of this. And then you get a whole lot of courses and prompts, ChatGPT prompts that you can answer, can put into ChatGPT and then go from there. And this essentially is divided into multiple days, and then it goes really, really deep. So there's a lot of different prompts here, but the goal here is really going through the whole process. So here, let me show you a flowchart of this process. So it's basically you start with gathering all the information, and then you compile everything, have ChatGPT remember you, and then you run what Rich Schefren calls God prompts. And from there, you go in and really try to have ChatGPT analyze what it is that you're doing, like the unconscious things that are holding you back, really uncovering your blind spots. This is called the omniscient observer protocol, and then from there it really gets into phase 2, which is then bridging bridging the insights that you get in phase 1, and then in week 2 or like phase 2 you get personalized execution strategies, and then from there you really have ChatGPT develop your own strategy, selection, and integration, so you can really apply what you learn and put this into practice, just like Rich did. And then there's basically the implementation and results phase. Typically, Rich recommends, and he chooses this interval to just give people a structure. You can choose like how long you want to stay with it or how often you want to use it. It really depends on your current situation, but he decided to go for a 30-day action plan, and then it's really about refining based on the results. So the only thing that you really need is a paid ChatGPT account here, and then go through everything yourself. And I learned a lot for myself going through this process again. So let's see here, for example, here there's a core fear that I uncovered, that is, I will never be enough. So I will be forgotten, irrelevant, insignificant. And that's one of the reasons why even though I wrote the review of this whole thing of ZenithMind OS a long time ago, so you can have a link in the comments if you want to read my detailed 4,000 word review there. But it's really why I struggled to record this video on camera and put it out there, because I have this unconscious fear that I will be judged and things like this. So this is something that I kind of knew, but I really had a hard time to grasp it, to understand it, to realize that this is what's happening below the surface level. Obviously, the course and the program goes much deeper into this. I have not been through all of the lessons yet because I was working on my own book, which is called Clarity on Demand, where I have a completely different approach of using AI to design and live the life you truly want. So my approach is really going more from the outside based on your goals, and then having that really clear, and then upgrading your operating system and which program and process is from the inside out. So it's really about understanding you first and then learning what to do. So if you want to learn more about the book, you will find a link just below. But when it comes to ZenithMind OS, you can have a look at this sales page here where it says get lifetime access to ZenithMind OS at the lowest price it will ever be. So the way this works is there's a cohort every 4 weeks, as I mentioned, and then the price rises month after month. So this is essentially where Rich is going to show you step by step how to eliminate internal friction, remove hesitation, make high-level execution automatic in just 4 weeks. Realistically, it will probably take you a little bit longer to go through this, but from what I've seen from the comments, from the testimonials, everything, it's definitely worth it, and it's the most refined program that I've seen online for using AI for personal development, which is my core focus with Find Focus and Clarity on Demand as well. So I highly recommend you watch some of the testimonials here from the early cohorts, and then this is essentially what you will get when you order ZenithMind OS. Get to learn your own signature profile. That means you get a formatted way, a process to tell ChatGPT about you, to ask you questions, to uncover layers that you do not know about yourself right now. So this is essentially the internal world operating manual, and that then basically based on your profile you build a manual on how you can then execute much better. You will learn how to interrupt patterns and then go through all of these things that I've not yet discovered in detail. But and this is the most important thing, is with this you get access to all the prompts like in detail with the program. So there's nothing happen in like GPTs or something that do not reveal the core content. So you get all the updates here as well. So you can see here some of these lessons have been updated, especially the first one, the prompts and things like this. So with each cohort, Rich learns, and this is why he's also doing it live. So there's a huge community building happening behind this as well. I would love to show you the Facebook group with over 800 people, but currently I'm blocking Facebook to not get distracted from recording this video. But as you can see here, they now have like really super detailed SOPs about how this works. So you can go through all of this. And I've gone through the whole process myself, and this is basically then the outline. I copied everything here, and then there's here you can see the whole process is 65 pages, and then at the end you get a summary about your tendencies, about what you're doing. You get an MBTI score, a Kolber score, and an Enneagram score, and then you get a Zenith Mirror score. This is basically Rich's score that he developed about how well the AI knows yourself already. And then you go through this day by day, and then you will see that at the end of these days, your ZenithMind score will typically be a little bit higher. So here you can see it's already 75 out of 100, and then there's some minor changes to this. But all of this really helps you to understand yourself, so you can spot your own patterns. And it's basically like having a psychologist walk you through the process, but because you're not sharing this with a real human being, you might even be much more open and share the most internal stuff that you're doing. One important thing that I really liked about the program as well is inside one of the office hours, they even share the exact settings about how to make sure that ChatGPT does not share your chats to program the model and things like this. But at the same time, they also show you how to use so that it will remember what you told it before. So there's really different prompts here inside the lessons that make sure that you use them. Here in the starter guide, I think it is, not sure if I find it right now. There's a starter guide, and then there's an end of discussion prompt, essentially that you just copy and paste to upload your transcripts into the long-term memory of chat. And this is how it remembers everything that you said to it and can reference it. But at the same time, with AI, it's always garbage in, garbage out. So it's really all about learning how it gets to know you, gets to know your patterns, and then you can course correct as well. So if you want to learn more about this, I highly recommend that you check out my ZenithMind OS review. I'm going through this in detail here. The pros are definitely that you get live coaching right now. So Rich is running each cohort live, and then there's a ChatGPT and AI expert that helps you with technical challenges you might have during this Q&A calls. It's a really unique and super in-depth framework, and it has a super structured process, which I like and which has been refined over the last cohorts. You get lifetime upgrades, and it's really easy to use and follow through, but it still will take some time, especially if you not just answer the questions, but really sharing memories that you have, which really help people to understand, or help GPT to understand your internal patterns. And then with rich prompts, you get GPT to make suggestions to correct. This works really well, but the only con to this program is, besides the initial fee, it requires a paid ChatGPT subscription, and the price rises after each live cohort. But other than that, it's really, really great way to calibrate the AI. You get a day 1, day 2, day 3 plan that you can follow, and later you will get a 30-day action plan that you can follow. So everything is super structured, and it's really like here, this slide from the webinar. With AI, you really have a magic genie at your disposal, and it's really great program for entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, anyone who's interested in digital marketing, coaches, consultants, anyone who's really struggling with the knowing doing gap. So if you notice maybe you wanted to lose weight in the past, or there's something else that you wanted to do but you always self-sabotage, this is definitely something that works, that helped me a lot. Obviously you can also get my book here, but this is really what I like about using AI for personal development, that it sees opportunities and you can size them. And then the current price as I'm recording this is $1,497. So the price of ZenithMind OS pricing. But as I said when I started, when I wrote this review before I updated it, the price was a little bit lower, and now it's rising every month. So it might be a little bit more expensive the next time you watch this video. Which offers 21-day 100% risk-free guarantee. So this is somewhere down below. Here you see the current price, and then here there is a risk-free 21 days 100% free guarantee. If you join the program, if you really follow along with the lessons, you will definitely get your worth out of this program, because as I said, there's super refined processes and prompts, and you can always go back and refine the process. And then in lesson 3 it gets even more granular and going much deeper. And then there's lesson 4, so it's definitely more than 4-week program. The 4 weeks is just like the live implementation, so you learn how to use the AI, how to use the prompts, how to use everything, and then you implement the ideas that ChatGPT gives you, that you refine with the help of ChatGPT, and then you go through the process again and refine it until you really upgrade your inner brain, so to speak. So this is really what there is to know about ZenithMind OS. As I said, the user reviews are generally like super positive. It's really about getting AI to understand, and there's a link below where you can watch the testimonials here again, and you get a complete process map here with this as well. This is explained what parts of the programs are optional, which parts of the program are definitely foundational, so that you must do them. So for example, some of the initial calibrations after day 7 or something, they are more or less optional, because ChatGPT might know you already well, so you can move forward with the God prompts and then the other phases of the program without going through everything in detail. But in general, the better the output, the more effort you put in, the more you actually get out, because as I said before, with AI it's really garbage in, garbage out. So you want to make sure that you train the AI really well on what it is that you're struggling with, and then you will get essentially a really like an amazing coach which has access to all the frameworks, everything, and you can do it yourself without sharing this with anyone else, which is one of the biggest advantages I think AI can offer, especially if we are not able to or do not want to work with a human being there, and more following a do-it-yourself approach, or do it with others essentially, because as I said, you will have live Zoom calls with the community, which within each cohort. So there's a community, there's a Facebook group where you can ask questions, get feedback, but you only share what you're comfortable with, and some things you might only want to share with the AI, but you still have help with the technical questions, with the whole process. There's great support behind this program. program, and this is why I like it so much. So here's what Rich promises. By the end of the journey, you have an AI trained to think like you and beyond you, and you have a self-awareness engine running 24/7 and a partner that challenges your loops and reveals your blind spots. So if you're open with the AI, it allows you to see your own blind spots without paying anyone else, and this is great. So there's definitely some time involved, but the course structure is dedicated into 90-minute sessions per week to understand the concepts, and then you have to set aside some time with GPT to go through all the exercises. But since you get lifetime access, I think it's definitely worth it. It's really about letting the AI know you better than you know yourself, and then use AI to eliminate mental noise, loops, and limitations. This is exactly what I'm focused with Find Focus as well, and Clarity on Demand. But as I mentioned before in the video, I have a different approach here. It's also to let the AI show you what's possible, like who you could become and what you could achieve. And this goes more into line with Clarity on Demand, where it's really about building a vivid life, or like making your goals so real, so compelling that you definitely want to do them. Which is one of the reasons why everyone who buys Rich Schefren's program will get my new book, including all the upsells that I have, because I've built a classic funnel here with the book. So you will get, if you buy this, just mail the receipt to me, and then you will get Clarity on Demand. And so you get the best out of both worlds from Rich Schefren, who's an expert on using AI for personal development, and me, who's also making this his core focus in his business besides doing these kind of reviews. That being said, if you're asking yourself if ZenithMind is worth the investment, as I wrote here in my blog post, it's absolutely a yes for the right person. So if you're running a business, if you are working in a professional setting and really want to get to know yourself, going to the next level, I think this is most in-depth program that I've seen so far. And it's definitely great program, and I can highly recommend it. And as I said, if you want to get this, you will get the book, you will get all the upsells that come with the book, all the bonuses. And yeah, that's it for my ZenithMind OS review. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and I'm looking forward to answer any questions that you might have about this program. So thank you for listening. Click like and subscribe, and I'll see you